Good afternoon. Obviously, we're in some strange circumstances, and I'm going to try to lay out some information and try to let you know what's going on as much as possible. During this video, I'd like to go over a couple of things with you instead of sending out about 60 reminds to let you know what was going on so that you can have an idea what's going on in the next couple of weeks. I'd like to lay out kind of what we're looking at for the next couple weeks, the spring trip, and also to announce next year's show. Let me just first say that how disappointed I was that we didn't get a chance to play at MPA. Both groups had worked really hard, and the music had come a long way, and the musicianship had come a long way. And I think we would have been very happy with the results, especially considering this past week and the work that had happened since the pre-MPA concert. Unfortunately, like all the other bands who were going to Thompson this week, we are just in the midst of something bigger than what we were doing at the moment. I know that the musicality and the things that we had done over the past couple of months will be to your benefit as we go along. But unfortunately, we won't get the chance to get that validation and that judgment that we would have gotten. So what we are doing is we're pretty much just going to move on to the spring concert. Miss Green and I have pulled some things together to try to put on Google Classroom, so you could go ahead and be looking at music for the spring concert. We decided for this spring concert we're going to do a little theme. We're going to do music in the movies. So we've picked out some different things from all eras of movies and different music, and a lot of that will be on Google Classroom here shortly, some of which might take a little bit longer as we're trying to scan hundreds of pages of things. So just be on the lookout on Google Classroom. We're going to be doing things probably not all at once. We'll probably wait and kind of space it out over these couple of weeks, considering that one of these weeks is technically spring break. But we will kind of spread it out so you'll have a chance to do some different things. Some of the music that we're going to post is fairly readable. Some of it might be a little bit more difficult. What we'll do is do a couple of assignments to get you playing and kind of do some pass off things with the spring concert music. That way, when we get back to school, because we'll only have a few weeks to really put together a concert at that moment. So when we get back, we can try to move a little bit faster. One of the other things we're going to do is I've got some music for solo and ensemble. We don't know, obviously, at this moment. We're hoping we still have solo and ensemble. Really and truthfully, we're still hoping if we're going to have all state. So we just kind of have to see how that plays out in these next couple of weeks. But I have some music. If you're interested in solo and ensemble, I grabbed some stuff at the school, and I can try to snap some scans and get things to you through Remind or through Google Classroom to where you could start looking at some things. As far as Ms. Green and I are concerned, we're planning on going ahead with everything when school comes back. We can't really play in any other way. So on Google Classroom, you'll have some scans of music. We're going to try to put up recordings of either other bands or the actual recordings from things or the actual scores from the actual movie. So you can be listening to some things. You can kind of hear how some things go. You can play along with it, and there'll be a lot of different things. Because let's be honest, you're going to have a little bit of free time. So what we want is when you come back to not sound like we normally do when we get back to band camp and we haven't played for like a month. Because literally we're going to turn around in about 2.5 weeks and be playing a spring concert. So just doing a little bit of playing is what we're really shooting for. for theory, for those of you, many of you are in my theory class. I'm going to put up some videos from YouTube. I'm going to put up some sheets that you can work on, some different things you can practice. I will also be doing some different things to kind of help you out as you're trying to move up in those levels. So just know, theory students, I will have some things for you as well. Jazz band and percussion ensemble, more or less, you all have your music already. So, you can just keep going with that. Brass, excuse me, jazz band, you have the music from Multicultural Night, which will keep everything probably except for Mamacita, and then the stuff that we've been working on. So you have some things. And then percussion ensemble, Miss Green said that you have all the stuff that you've been looking at. On to the spring trip. We've got an official word now that there will be no out-of-state travel during the month of April. So as of this moment, there is no spring trip. They haven't made a decision about May yet, so there is a tiny bit of optimism for Rudd, but my personal opinion, I would not plan on it. Most likely, I think that's going to come down that we're not going to do any out of state travel for the rest of the school year. As far as the spring trip is concerned, we really have two options moving forward. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to lay out the options for you. Parents, if you will respond through Remind, through email, different things like that, and let me know which option you like the best. We're going to, obviously we can't do both. It's not a, buffet style choice. We've got to go one way or the other and try to make it as equitable for everybody as possible. Option one is to try to get a full refund from the travel company. Now, when I say a full refund, that is not going to include that first deposit. That first deposit is not refundable. And really and truthfully, we're not sure. I say we, as in the travel company, because I've been in touch with them for a while, how much you can get back from these other places. I mean, we're talking about hotels, we're talking about charter buses, we're talking about theme parks, places that are losing a lot of money right now. It might not be willing to give back anything. So we're not really sure, nor will we know the amount until they make the decision to go get it. So the way that would work is we'd ask for refunds. They would send refunds to the school, and then the school, over however long it would take to try to refund everybody's money. That is probably going to be months, plural, in trying to get all that done. Option B, the second option would be for us to try to roll over as much as possible into a trip for next year. The trip would not be the same. We could choose a new trip, a new destination, and the people who have paid would try to roll over as much as possible. The company seemed to think that most of these places would be more willing to transfer to other places. So there is a possibility that you would get more money towards a trip than you would actually just getting it back. And that's something that would go for those people. And of course, next year it would still be, people could still join in on the trip and things like that. But you would kind of have a credit to next year. If we do go with option B, the second option, we would try to figure out some way for seniors and parents of seniors who are planning on going on the trip and trying to get you some money back. Obviously, rolling over and crediting next year doesn't help our senior class. So don't think seniors and senior parents, we're not going to just leave you out in the cold. We would work out something where we're working on that right now, to where we could try to refund as much as possible. Again, it's not going to be full amounts, and it just kind of is what it is. But we would try to do that for seniors and their parents so that you're not just left out in the cold. So if you would, parents, if you would kind of email, or when I send this remind out, just kind of hit the thumbs up, thumbs down on the Remind app, and so I can kind of get a general idea of what most people are thinking. As far as just in general end of the year events, I can't really speculate on how the end of the year is going to be. Band banquet, prom, graduation. I mean, we don't really know. And anybody who's not telling you that is not being 100% truthful, in my opinion. We don't know. Obviously, we're going to do as much as we can, and try to make sure that we're getting the kids to everything that we can get them to, and obviously trying to finish this year out strong and do everything we can. One last thing before I announce the show. You see now why I didn't want to send out reminds about all this. I would like to say really quickly that I realize it's a tough time for many of you, but especially our seniors. A lot of you, I'm sure, feel like your senior year has kind of been taken from you, especially these last couple of months. I'd just like to point out to you that there are just some things you can't control, and this is not something that we've really ever experienced quite like this. I'd like to just highlight that the reason that we're doing all of these things here in the state, shutting things down and such, is not because it's so bad that we're having to shut it down. We're shutting it down so it doesn't have to get bad. If you look around in some other places, it's getting a little worse. And I actually, me personally, am happy that Alabama was, for once, on the forefront of something instead of just following. No, we don't have a lot, maybe in the city and things like that. But the only way we can get control of some of these things and head it off and nip it in the bud is to do what we're doing in I know we're disappointed about travel, and we're disappointed about MPA, and we're disappointed about some of the things in senior years especially. But when it comes down to it, and you have to choose a life or travel, we're going to have to pick the life every time. So just make sure that you understand, and you'll appreciate it eventually. One of the things we were going to talk about this week before we went to MPA, and Third Block especially, is I was going to share just a little bit about the piece Infinite Hope. We hadn't really talked about it. I was kind of saving it for the end. It was actually inspired by a quote from Martin Luther King. The quote inspired the composer to write this about the song and what Brian Baumages wrote in the piece. Infinite Hope is about comparing uncertainty with boundless optimism. According to the composer, Infinite Hope was to forge a path of faith, trust, and belief in assurance of a world in chaos, amidst a world in chaos. It reminds us that hope and dreams are all around us, and that hope always triumphs over experience. At some point in life, most of us experience moments that truly test our resolve, either as individuals or society. Despite those tests, we can always look inward and outward and refuel on the hopes within ourselves and others. And in that very moment, we find ourselves sharing in the magic of infinite hope. The quote from Martin Luther King that inspired all of this was, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." So finally, what you've been waiting for, and parents, I apologize because now you're starting to realize what announcements with me is like. now it's time to announce next year's show. So as we were trying to figure out next year's show, one of the things that I wanted to do, and Miss Green wanted to do, and the rest of our staff, was to try to find something a little bit more out of a box. We've been doing some things in these past couple of years where, it's been about a person, or it's been about a band, or it's been about something like that. So we're trying to think of something a little bit out of the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the title of the show, and then I'll explain it, because I realize some of our ACT vocabulary scores might not be the same as everybody else. So without further ado, here's the title of the show. Then I'll explain the title, and then give you the song list, which again, all of that music, including recordings, will be put on Google Classroom once this is posted. So the title of the show, which I think it might be backwards. I hope not. Oh, no, you can't see it. Raise until we rise. Raise until we rise. The word raise, R-A-Z-E, means to destroy or tear down. And obviously, raise until we rise, the idea is the songs that we're going to be doing next year are about revolution and rebellion. So we're going to be looking at some different things to kind of do that. So the songs for next year, in not totally a specific order or the whole song, is we are going to do Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd, I Don't Want to Stop by Ozzy Osbourne, Purple Rain by Prince, and Uprising by Muse. So what I will do is we'll put the actual versions of those songs and a couple of the arrangements of those songs along with the music to some of those songs. We don't have all the music yet. We're working on getting that all in. But we've got a lot of it, and we'll get that on Google Classroom so you can start looking at that as well. I hope you're excited about it. Miss Green and I are very excited. So is Miss Mizrahi and Miss Smith, and Miss Chambliss as well. Don't forget Miss Chambliss. So I hope you're looking forward to it. I hope that you can take these couple of weeks and be safe, be smart. Do some work when you can, get some rest. Don't go out and go to the Galleria and go walk around and touch everything. Okay, be smart, please, or else 3 weeks is going to turn into 3 months, and instead of just knocking this out when we have the chance. So thank you. I'm sorry, I keep getting closer. I don't mean to, but thank you for this minute. I will start posting some stuff on Google Classroom, and we'll keep posting things over the next couple of weeks. Here at Pinson Valley, we'd like to promote. No, I'm not going to do that. Thank you. Have a good night.